What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father. At Amazon, Kindle, create space, and link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled, Is Your Faith Perverted? I was listening to Zoe Williams, and there was a part of his, I think, Wednesday show, Monday and Wednesday. But part of what he was talking about was the definition of the word faith, which really means trust, and believe, which root word is belie, which means to give you a lie as a gift. And they're talking about religion in some aspects of it. And it made me think, because we live in America, the predominant faith is Christianity. And for us as black people, we were given a repackaged form of religion that's our own but perverted. So if our faith, if our religion is perverted, wouldn't our faith, which is our trust, be perverted? I mean, and the things that stem from that, and the coping mechanisms are perverted. Can those also be perverted? What I mean by that is this: when you're given God to save you from oppression, we weren't given God to save us from oppression. We were given God to pacify us while we were under oppression. And the same God that we were given is the same God that our oppressors worship. So the question was asked, so if we both praying to God, then whose prayers are being answered? And because our faith in God can sometimes be questioned, because is God answering the prayers of the people who are feeding our children to alligators and raping women and Jim Crow and redlining and dumping drugs in the community and propaganda and all these other things, right? Torture and everything. All these things that man has done that seem so ungodly. But you gotta ask, what we've been viewing as religion and faith, what we've trusted in, the form of Christianity that we have in America does not work for us. So is our faith, is our trust in God it perverted to the point where we don't realize that we're believing in our own destruction. And it filters into other aspects of our lives and communities and families. You see, our current religious dogma is still rooted in, especially the black church, is still rooted in and operates under the same practice of Sunday religion to keep the slaves in line. So how will you ever be free? Mentally, spiritually, and physically, if your faith, if your religion is in bondage, or you practicing the religion that kept you in bondage or promoted you being in bondage. So does everything you do from that point on, is that perverted? man, and thus, like I'm over here with a dissertation. Uh, thus, you got to ask if our faith is perverted. Is that part of the reason why our relationships are perverted? Because, God is God, man, woman, child. But in our community, we say that's what it is, but that's not what it is. No. Because we pick and choose what part of Christianity we want, just like our oppressors pick and choose which part of Christianity they want to use. So isn't that perverted? It perverts our relationships. Because we're loving each other under a paradigm of a slave religion that can't see us free mentally. So you have people, in my opinion, fighting to still be mentally in bondage. Creates a problem. Not to mention, you have all these other religions, and I think because we're coming from a religion of perversion, we're going to other religions perverted, or other dogma perverted. What I mean by that is this. You have people who feel like they're Hebrew Israelites, Muslims, atheists, pacifists, whatever ish you want to be, right? Islam, like I said, Islam. And what winds up happening is they're these things because they left Christianity, right? But unfortunately, they brought the hypocrisy with them to their next dogma. So they've entered a new religion or a new paradigm, a new shift in life. But they still have the stench of perverted Christianity on them. And they still operate in negative mindsets and self-sabotaging mindsets. So thus it makes their new direction filled with potholes of hypocritical coping mechanisms. Just in my opinion. Thus you got people who they're following a religion, but the religion, if it plays, you're willing to fall prey to your own vices and use a religion as cover for you repeatedly making a choice to indulge in your vice. Not choose it, indulge in it. Because, like I said before, the faith is perverted because guess what? Same Christianity that said thou shalt not, the people that gave you all these thou shalt not broke all of those rules. They break all of those rules to this day. None of these people who are in all of these religions, they don't practice their religion with mankind. And when you look back into how these religions works, the names weren't the same, the practices weren't the same. We didn't practice them the same, now that you know this, right? But the problem is, we're stuck in the dogma, the practice of practicing and our oppression through religion. That we can't break free of anything because we can't separate the God in our spirit from the white Jesus that some of y'all have in y'all house and on y'all wall and tattooed on your bodies and put you're walking around with chains on, right? You know, sometimes you got to ask, even when it comes to the hair thing. Are people dyeing their hair blind to feel like because blind and blue eyes is just the color of freedom? Because they gave you a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, so closest you feel like you're gonna get to God is by having blonde hair. You know, but the Jesus you know, that ain't his real name. You know, like the man said, the oldest church is in Ethiopia. You know, Ethiopia is the birthplace of Christianity. And I think in Jesus is still named Horus. Heru. You know, we translate that basically the hero. You know, so we never think about these things. That until we separate from the idea that our faith has been molested and we are suffering from Stockholm syndrome religiously, and we need to separate ourselves from the way our religion has been perverted to actually come into a new. We're going to always have a problem. Because if your faith is perverted, all the actions that you take under your faith are perverted. You know, whether it be creating a family, your family is going to be perverted. Creating a legacy, your legacy is going to be perverted. Creating a community, your community is going to be perverted. You know, your approach to growing the community is going to be perverted because the God that you worship is bastardized. Thus, the blessings you're going to get are bastardized. Just my opinion. Just tell me what you think. We out.